Hello everyone, let me welcome you to my next video, which is basically on the fundamental unit of life. Do I feel I have to write again? The fundamental unit of life. So this is the name of the chapter which we have started previously. So we'll be discussing more about that particular chapter. So in today's chapter, we'll be discussing about the unicellular and multicellular, the pretty very easy terminologies which we basically use and everybody knows it. So let's talk about the type of organisms we which basically have. So organisms can be classified into two very types. The first one is unicellular, and the next very important terminology which we have to use over here is our multicellular. Now the very thing which we need to focus over here is that when a single cell is able to perform all the function which are performed by a multicellular organism, everything the let me hold it up once, I'm getting confused. Yeah, if a single cell is able to perform all the functions which are necessary for the life, will be these organisms will be called as unicellular organisms, and the organisms which require different tissues, different organs and organ systems, then they will be called as, of course, your multicellular organisms. So now I feel you got my point. It's pretty easy, but I jot down that same definition which was given in the book of NCERT. My goodness, messages are coming to me wishing happy new year, and this happy new year is being wished on 2nd January. My goodness. Anyhow, let's go further. So unicellular organisms are the organisms which are basically made up of one cell, and whole organism is in single cell, so that will be unicellular organisms. So let's figure out certain example of it. The very best examples which we have been studying in the biology is your amoeba. Amoeba is a unicellular organism which can change its shape. Its shape is changing just because of eating of the food and very nice movement, and there are so many things we'll be discussing about amoeba. We'll be discussing of the plasma membrane. Then we have paramecium. Now a lot of people ask me when I used to give lectures in various organizations, they used to ask me, sir, the spelling of paramecium will be having O or not? Oh my goodness, it don't have to do with the O, and you have to just understand it. There's nothing like there is O, there is no O. So let me clear it up. In the earlier books, it was paramecium, O was added up, but nowadays we do not use O in this spelling. So this was a thing which I knew. I told you guys. So then another very important thing is people hate remembering the name of this particular microorganisms. So I will make a simpler things to remember it. Claire, Claire, my, my, do, monas, monas. So it's pretty easy. Chlamydomonas. So chlamydomonas is also a unicellular organism. Plus there are more other organisms also. Let's talk about the multicellular. Multicellular, many cells grouped together in a single body. Many cells will be grouped up together in a single body. That will be called as your multicellular. Examples are, of course, your fungi, plantae, and the animalia. All the organisms which are coming in this particular categories will be multicellular, except there is one exception in fungi. Keep this in mind. Saccharomycetes, that is your baker's yeast, is basically the only fungi which is unicellular. Keep this in mind. That means yeast is, please keep this point in your mind, that yeast is the only fungi which is unicellular. Let's go further. Every of its kind came from a single cell. Now this is a very important line which is given in the NCERT. It says that every multicellular living organism has arrived from a single cell. Every living organism is arrived from a single cell. except there are some exceptions always there in biology. We can take viruses. They are not cellular at all, so we use a terminology for them as acellular. I call them as acellular, but I need to get it reviewed by you guys. So you can give me a reviews that why do we call this as acellular, viruses as acellular. Let's go further on. The further topic which I need to figure out here is oh my god, my just the next topic that which I want to discuss is the type of the cells. If we talk about the human beings, we basically have a larger number of cells. So we have been discussing about cell, unicellular, multicellular, and all. So let's talk about the types of the cells which we have in our body. So the type of cells which we have. Let's talk about the very important type of cell that is your this kind of cell is basically your a nerve cell. We call this kind of cell as your nerve cell. So making it a rough diagram so you can guys view from your NCERT or any other books which you have. So we have this kind of cells inside our body. This is very important to figure about this kind of cell. The very important thing over here is that these cells are helping in the conduction of the nerve. If I give you a slap, you're able to feel it. That is just because of the nerve cell. If you touch a hot object and if you shake your hand like this, that is just because of the nerve cell. So it's a pretty interesting, and the longest cell of your body is nothing, it's your nerve cell. I have read somewhere that it can range approximately 1 meter in length. My goodness, they can range 1 meter in length. So I have to figure it out again. I have not seen a 1 meter length neuron in my life, but I would be very much interested in seeing 1 meter length nerve cells of the human body. The very next kind of cells which we have is the muscle cells in our body. So muscle cells basically look something like this. So they have a tapering, and the point tapering the sense that very pointed at the corner. So this is the tapering end of your muscle cells. This we basically call as your neuron, or we can call it as your nerve cell, right? The next kind of cells which is your blood cells. The blood cells may you have your RBCs. So RBCs, I draw something like this usually to denote that it is biconcave in nature. What do you mean by biconcave? Biconcave basically means this kind of structure. If you view it from this particular point of view, you'll be able to see that it is biconcave in nature. Oh my goodness, it is thin, and this is a fatty kind of thing which I've drawn, but it will be approximately same in size. So let me try once again. My goodness. Okay, approximately it will be something like that. If you are viewing it from your side portion, suppose this is my hand is RBC, and if you are viewing it up from this particular point of view, it will be. If you are viewing from the top point of view, it will be looking something like this. But if you look from the this point of view, it will be looking something like this. So I feel you can understand me. So next kind of cell which we need to figure it out here is the very important which I am lacking in my body, that is called the. No, I'm not lacking up. But there is something which is lacking in those cells, that is fat. So this kind of cells are basically called as your fat cells inside your body. So I feel you can understand that this thing which is over here is just meant to keep the fat, and this makes you a fatty personality. So getting a lot of fat inside your body is also very dangerous, just because it causes a disease called as obesity, which you have studied in your lower classes. So let's go with the next diagram, that is of the ovum cell. Ovum cell is basically the largest cell inside the human body. So it looks something like this. Like this kind of structure you will be able to see in the ovum cell, and it is found in the females only. Let's go with the next one, that is the um, bone cell. So ton of people ask me, are bones living? Are the bones living? A big question mark. But I used to say that yes, bones are living just because they have a group of cells inside their body, and these cells will be I'm not drawing greatly, but will be the cells will be something like this. This kind of cellular terminology of the cell makes them, living cells. So we basically come to a point that, bones are living just because they have the living bone cells inside that, but they get surrounded by a lot of calcium inside it. So there's a lot of calcium is that basically means they are uh, not able to function well. They are just meant to they're just meant to provide a framework for the body so that our muscles and everything can join up them. Let's go further now. The two very important topics which we need to discuss now is we will discuss some more points in it. We will be discussing the very important terminologies which will be coming in future. That is RBC. RBC basically means red blood corpuscle. It does not basically means your red blood cells. Although you can use both of them simultaneously, but the exact terminology will be corpuscles, right? Let's go further on. The shape and size of the cell. The shape and size of the cells are specific to the function which they perform. We have seen a bit before that nerve cells are longer just because they have to transfer the signal from the one point to the another point, so they will be longer. That means they will be having a specific function or specific to their size. So the thing which we have seen here is that the shape and size of each organism are specific to the function which they perform. The RBCs, red blood corpuscles, are biconcave in nature just because they have to transfer a lot of oxygen. Like that's why maybe they are in that particular shape. If you talk about the WBCs are basically your white blood cells. So these white blood cells are basically irregular in shape. If they are irregular in shape, that basically means we know that they are the fighting cell, immune cell of the body. So they are basically meant for eating the pathogens. What do you mean by pathogen? So pathogen basically means the disease causing organisms are basically called as the pathogen. So when a pathogen enters inside the body, so this will be like digested up, it will be intaked by, it will be made to fuse with the lysosome of the let me go to the lysosome now. It will be eaten up. This pathogen will be eaten up by the white blood cells. So it protects our body and it provides us immunity from the various disease and disease causing organisms. So they have irregular shape. So the shape is deciding the functions which they perform. Let's go with the next very important thing, the division of labor. This is a very important thing, division of labor. So division of labor basically means we have stomach for digestion, we have heart for beating and transport of the blood. We have, let me write division of labor first of all. Division of labor. Division of labor in multicellular and unicellular. We basically have organs for our different work. We have basically organs. Here I'm talking about the multicellular organisms, and here let me talk about the unicellular organisms. We basically have organ to perform different functions, but here we have something called as organelles. We have organelles to function up similar to that of the organ in the multicellular organism. So like let's take an example of the stomach, which is there in the digestive system, which is helping the digestion process. Heart is helping in the beating process, the lungs are helping the respiration, the kidneys are helping in the filtration. So different functions we have inside our body, and different functions are performed by different organs. So similarly, in the unicellular organism, there is a division of labor, and this division of labor is performed by the different organelles. So all cells have same organelles, and even if they are different in the function. Oh my goodness, this is a very important line which is given in your NCRT, which says that all organism, all living cells, either they are longer, the shorter, or the thinner, or the flat, or the biggest, or the largest, whatever they are. So they will be having the same organelles in them. The structure of them will be approximately, structure may be different, but the organelle and the constituents which are present inside them will be approximately same. They can have difference in the number, but the structure of the organelles will be approximately same. They will be having the same organization. The constituents will be same. All cells have the same organelles, even if they are different in the structure and different functions. So let's go with the essential structural organization of the cell. The last topic of this second video is uh, the structural organization of the cell. Let's organization of cells. So keep this in mind that to call something as a cell, it must have three basic things in it. The first very important thing it must have is the cell membrane. It is the outermost thing, cell membrane. The second very important thing it must have is the nucleus. And the third one it must have is the cytoplasm. So cell basically have three structures in it. The very important structure, the first one is the cell membrane. Some of the books will be finding it as they will be calling it as the plasma membrane. So cell membrane and plasma membrane are approximate. They are same only. What approximately? They are same. So all the activities which are performed by the organisms are directly or indirectly connected with the cell. That basically means the cell is basically having the cell membrane, the nucleus, and the cytoplasm, and they are interacting with the other cells. They are interacting with the environment. They are interacting differently with the different things. So all this interaction is taking place just because of the cell. So cell is made up of cell membrane, cytoplasm, and the cell membrane, which is also called as plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and the nucleus. So in the next class we will be talking about in detail about the plasma membrane. So hope you guys are liking my videos. Please motivate me to make more videos. I'm trying my hardest best to make the videos great, but due to the certain other factors I'm not able to. So hope you will be liking them. Thank you. Bye bye. See, signing off now.